Hey Hunters, today I'd like to showcase a build I've been playing for the last few days. It is a melee Autobomber Gemma 3, so using quant pets, hands free, we're right around 4 billion DPS. Scale our damage mainly through strength, tenacity blessings, and ailment effect. So I had a lot of fun with the Krino 2 build, but it's just meta, it's good, there's really nothing to do there. So I wanted to make a similar kind of hands-free build, something that could farm 8 zeros quickly and efficiently. And I was looking at some of the new supports, and Hammer of Ash has this really cool magnificent support skill that makes each projectile explode like 3 times. And so the explosions only happen when you use a Demolisher charge, so it's important to scale as much Demolisher charge speed as possible. But we're using an activation medium to trigger Hammer of Ash every 0.6 second space, but I have about 50% CDR or so. So it triggers about 3 times a second. And I shoot 5 projectiles, and each of those projectiles hits 3 to 4 times, and all of those explosions can overlap due to the nature of just how Hammer of Ash works. Then we use slower projectiles just to make sure that they move slower so they overlap better. Let's see, so the gear is pretty straightforward. I'm using the strength stacking items with only a triple strength false gods, but I've got Magnus's Scar, Jealousy, and Laws. My rares are mainly just life, strength, res, affliction effect. I was able to get CDR here on the boots, it's pretty good. This is a tier 3 Demolisher charge speed, but it was still a significant damage increase. I was able to get pretty good Dreamcraft as well. We're doing the typical God of Might Warlord with Warlock 3rd, scaling Tenacity Blessings. This is great because weight attack speed doesn't matter because we're triggering attacks, not actually like swinging attacks. Then we're going for penetration here and focused strike. Then Warlock is just very straightforward: CDR, life, recovery, affliction effect, res, with indifference and off the beaten track because it's just busted. And for slates, I'm using True Flame here. You could also use Focus Strike and get True Flame on the tree. There's a lot of different combos you can get that are good. I went for utility here because I'm using Warcry and Tenacity Blessings. I was able to get all this in one spot, so that's pretty nice. And then my other ones are pretty much just strength, and this armor, ignore armor mod is actually pretty strong because that does apply to elemental damage as well. I have 2 of those, so it's about 20% chance to ignore armor once my chaos gets pretty high. This is charge speed and CDR, strength DD, strength AoE. So Hammer of Ash is our main skill. So a whole bunch of additional damage whenever you consume a charge, and then the pummel, so the AoE hit, and then the explosions caused by the projectiles can all hit the same enemy. So you shoot 3 by default, and then add 2 here. Then this is the new support, Blast Quake. So projectiles will always penetrate and cause 2 additional explosions. Slow projectile makes projectiles move slower, so the explosions overlap. And then quick return is just Demolisher charge speed and damage. Cannot be beaten. For candles, this hardened one is really good because a big chunk of damage as well as defense, and the minus attack speed doesn't matter because we're triggering. This one, you have a lot of different options here. I just went for damage, basically, with the charge speed and then raw. Raging Warcry for Demolisher charge speed and damage. Scorch and Bull's Rage, more damage. Fearless could be swapped for Precise Resistance if I feel like I wanted to be slightly more tanky. Admittedly, I'm overkilling on 8 zeros. I could probably move to 8 ones with this damage, but you know, we got options. Damage, this could be move speed if you want, but I think the regen is nice. You could also just not run something if you want to have your life full. I don't know. And then finally, Precise Flame Imbue. This helps with clear because we do hit really hard, and that makes this overkill damage pretty strong, and still a decent amount of added fire. Well, I should have mentioned here, True Flame is good because it makes Affliction apply to your hit damage, and at max stacks, Affliction is 100% additional damage over time. So that means that's 60% additional damage, which is a bigger multiplier than pretty much almost anything, except maybe like passivation or something. And I mean, you can even get a second notable support on something with this, so it's pretty crazy. But then you scale Affliction Effect to further multiply that. So it's slightly delayed damage. You know, you can scale additional Affliction application on Slates and a couple other places if you want it to be snappier. But, you know, it takes maybe 1 to 2 seconds to fully ramp on a boss, and then, you know, they die. That's totally fine. Um, but yeah, it's just a really cool new way to add damage this season. And you can even get this on that one amulet. Do we have it on my... This one. This guy. Magnus's Mind Flame. This is a actually insanely powerful amulet. 2 skill levels, penetration, and then True Flame. So it's like any fire-based hit build can really get a lot out of this. And I mean, like if I wasn't strength stacking, I would 100% be using this. But I wanted to try out these new strength stacking items, and they're kind of cool. So, um, in terms of upgrades, I would want to get. I'm torn between just like the pure additional damage versus more tenacity blessings, because you could get 2 on the Dreamcraft and 2 on the Priceless. But I would think I'm definitely gonna try to get 1 on my rings here, 1 tenacity blessing, um, and then just further upgrading these mods to T1, of course, would probably double if not triple my damage. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this character. It's fast, it's fun. You don't have to aim. The projectiles on Hammer of Ash are self-targeting, and there's just big overlapping explosions with dots and stuff. Plus, I just like Gemma 3. She's got really, really strong traits. Purgatory is just like, she's got like 300% additional damage if you play fire damage, which is a shit ton of damage. And this one gives you 20% Physmit, which is really strong. Uh, yeah. Not so much defensive. You can get like block chance stuff. I need to actually work on my memories, but you kind of need to fit in defense where you can. Fizz taken is elemental, strong, and then an additional or less elemental damage taken is a good way to defend. But as a life build, you just kind of like don't have as many options. I'm pretty spec'd into recovery, and it's like okay, and especially as running the rejuvenation helps. But you could always give up the war cry for either life source or a defensive ability if you feel like it. But at this point, I don't feel like I need it. But overall, really fun character. Hadn't seen too many people using Hammer of Ash outside of a support, but there's a lot of cool ways to make characters now with the way activations work. I mean, I don't know if they worked like this before or if it's just like it this season, but activations can use skills that don't match your weapon type. So I'm curious to experiment with that. But in the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun on this character, just speed farming T8s and making pretty good money. I was working on an update video for the Krino 2 character, but I'm kind of just answering all the comments. Um, Answering there. I mean, there's plenty of other high budget videos of people playing the same build, so I would basically just be repeating what other people have already said, and at this point I've kind of moved on from the character, but I'm still there answering comments, and any comments about this build or kind of just like fire hit scaling mechanics, go ahead and drop them down below. I love talking about this game. I love theory crafting, and it's great to engage. So thanks everyone, and see you next time.